licensed to practice law in Maryland and California, and I'm licensed to practice law in the federal court and the bankruptcy court of Maryland, the District of Columbia, and the Central District of California, Los Angeles. And I started doing bankruptcies about 5 or 6 years ago when the recession hit, and the governor of Maryland asked all the lawyers to volunteer and do pro bono work to help people do loan modifications and foreclosure defense. And my practice had started dwindling. I did a lot of small business startups, strategy and development, so I didn't have as many clients as I used to. So I took off, closed my practice down a little bit, and spent about 2 years doing foreclosure defense and loan modifications. And we would work tirelessly trying to help save these people's homes. And sometimes there was just nothing that we could do through the loan modification process. And then they would tell us to refer them to the bankruptcy attorney. And then they would go pay this person like $3,000 to $5,000 to file their bankruptcy. And I've been working for this person for like 9 months. I was great. So I said, I need to find out about this little bankruptcy thing that's going on to see if I can keep myself out of bankruptcy and, find a practice. So that's how I got into bankruptcy a few years ago. And now that I'm in it, I'm so excited about the things that I've learned about bankruptcy. And that's part of what I want to tell you all today, some of the stuff that I think that we don't know about bankruptcy. And the reason why I'm here today, born and raised in Lamar Park, my zip code is 9008. My office is on the corner of 48th and Crenshaw, right next to Church's Chicken. I hate having to say it, but it's true. So a little while ago, I ran my zip code, 9008, and the zip code on my office is 90043, through this website called Foreclosure Radar. And it lists all the up-and-coming foreclosures. And there were 200 foreclosures scheduled in about 30 to 60 days, right here. I just did this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Right here, right now. And it's bothering me and it's worrying me because we're losing our houses. Some of them have been in our families for generations. The demographics of our neighborhood are changing. The foreign investors and the Jews, I don't have any problem with these people, but they're coming in and they're buying the homes in our neighborhood and they're pushing us out. I was raised here. I love it here, right here. I love waking up to the drumbeat in the park on Sunday morning. I'm always in Lamar Park, just wandering around. I love it, and it's worrying me that we're losing our houses. And then the other thing that happened to me, I'm recovering from a motorcycle accident. I'm going to try to strengthen my legs again. So I go out randomly and just try to walk the block, and I walk the block one night, and going from 48 up to, what is that, like 49th, and just down 10th and back up to my office, short block. There were 4 families sleeping in their cars in just this one block. And so what I started doing is going out to churches and home neighborhood associations and things like that, and just giving people the information that we don't have. There's a stigma in our community about bankruptcy. And when we hear about Donald Trump and all these other athletes and entertainers and celebrities that file bankruptcy, we think there's something wrong. They didn't do something right. They're poor. No! They have higher paid lawyers. They have access to better information. They file bankruptcy so they can keep their stuff, not because they're losing their stuff. And we don't know that, and we don't really understand that. And one of the problems in our community is lack of motivation and lack of information. And if we can have the motivation to find the information, we can stop some of this that's going on in our community. So that's why I'm here today. The first thing that I want to go over before I get into the deep part of bankruptcy, because it's not for everyone, and I don't push it on everyone. I send just as many people away as not. Are alternatives to foreclosure. And we've heard lots of horrible things in the news about people being denied loan modifications and things. But we also have to plan and strategize. I've had clients in applying for loan mods for 2 to 3 years. I have a young lady that I've been working with for almost 3 years that just now got her loan modification. And if you hear that story, like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Think of America has been messing her around. They have. They have been messing her over. And she has not paid her mortgage in 3 years. Right? So you're thinking about it like, oh my gosh, that's a messed up situation. Please can I do that? How do I do that? Stop buying cars and jewelry, and doing all of this stuff that we do. Use this as an opportunity to save your money. So loan mods, that's one of the first alternatives. And actually, let me say, that's the second alternative. The first thing to do is to call your lender. I had a lady call me from Maryland, bless her heart. They were getting ready to foreclose on her house. So I said, well, what did they say? And how do you talk to them? She hadn't even called them. She had not done anything. She got the letter and then called me. She hadn't talked to them in over 18 months. First thing you do is call them. Ask them what programs they have, what can they work out. Once you're in a program, once you're being processed, they can't foreclose on you. But if you never call them, if you never say, hey, I want my house, hey, my husband is sick, hey, I got cut back, my hours are a little less than they used to be, hey, I overextended myself, what can we work out? They won't know what's going on with you. All they know is that you're the person that they sent 59 letters to, they called you 102 times, and you didn't answer the phone, and you didn't open your mail, so they don't know what to do, so they will foreclose on you. If you don't respond, they will sell your house. That's one thing that's true. So one, call them. Two, ask for a loan modification. If you don't qualify for HAMP, almost every bank has an internal loan modification program. Be realistic about what your options are. Do everything they ask you to do, which is oftentimes ridiculous. There's a joke among the lawyers that do loan modification that at Bank of America there's a fax machine that feeds directly into a scanner. So every time you send in your loan modification, it comes straight out their fax into their trash. That's the running joke, and it may be true, because they're going to ask you to send everything over and over again 7, 8, 9 times. I sent stuff repeatedly over and over and over again. But that's on them. While they're processing you, they can't foreclose on you. And you're going to keep all your confirmation sheets that show that you did in fact send it. And if they do foreclose on you, call me. We can sue them, get your house back, and a whole bunch of other money besides. But you have to do what you're supposed to do so that you have a good defense. Deed in lieu, and I'm just going to rush through these. I have a limited amount of time. I'm going to rush through these a little bit, but just to give you an overview. A deed in lieu is an alternative to foreclosure. It's something that generally you have to ask your lender for. And instead of them foreclosing on you, you agree to sign over the deed to your house in lieu or instead of foreclosure. That's something else you can do. It hits your credit report just a little bit easier than an actual foreclosure is. The beauty of it is that you can negotiate when you're doing a deed in lieu. You can do something called cash for keys and negotiate with your lender to give you money for moving expenses. $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. If you're in a situation where something happened and you really can't afford to keep your house, maybe it's time to downsize. Maybe you need to move in, get an apartment or something, and you know you're going to lose it anyway. Use this time to negotiate and get something out of it. Don't do what my neighbors have done, sneak out in the middle of the night, put all your stuff in the U-Haul, and then you roll out and you didn't get anything out of it. If you agree with the lender to keep the house clean, not to pour cement down the toilet because you're mad because you can't pay your bills, if you agree not to do that and to turn over your keys on a certain date, they'll give you money for that. And if you're going to have to go anyway, you might as well get a little something out of it. So that's deed in lieu and cash for keys. You can also short sell your house. Short sale is another option while you're going through it. They generally won't foreclose on you, and it generally takes no less than 3 to 6 months for the bank to approve a short sale. But while you're going through the process, if they've agreed to it and you call them early enough, they won't short sell on your property while you're doing that. Some of my clients have done short sales with a lease back option. You can't necessarily afford to keep the house at the current rate. You refinanced a few years ago, you're underwater, whatever. Someone else comes in and buys your house at a short sale. You're now discharged from all the debt connected to the house, and they may be willing to lease the house back to you at current market value, which is probably less than your mortgage. It's not the best situation, but if you have to move or leave anyway, but we're comfortable where we are, I don't want to leave my house. I don't really want to rent my house, but I'd rather rent my house and move across the street and rent something else for the same price. I might as well see if I can work something out with the lender. So those are the types of things that we don't always know that we can do, that we can do. And there are a slew of free services in Los Angeles. You guys should all have this handout. This is the second page what you have. These are the free services that I can find in Los Angeles, and there are more. The information is available now. The internet is outstanding. Go to Google, www.google.com, and put in free foreclosure help or free debt management help, free whatever in Los Angeles, and go through some of the resources. The best debt management site that I know of is getoutofdebt.org. It's a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping people with debt management. And you can actually go on and do a debt calculator, put in all your debt under the resources tab, and they'll give you options for managing your debt. You may just need a little credit counseling, which is also something that a service I sell. You may need credit counseling. You may just need somebody to attack your credit report and get rid of the stuff that's old, get rid of the stuff that's not used, get rid of the stuff that's duplicative, which will completely raise your score. Or you may need to do some sort of settlement and negotiation with your debt. This is for people who aren't necessarily facing foreclosure, but a lot of us are still burdened with debt. There are lots of options. So I encourage you to go to getoutofdebt.org and look at some of the information there. It's all free, and they also have a link if you want to find a lawyer. There's only one person per city. I'm about to pick up, I think Inglewood is downtown, but the Los Angeles guy is downtown. He's a cool guy. And then if you want free help, the California Bankruptcy website has loads of information, videos and everything for filers who want to file on their own. There's all sorts of information. You can also go down on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 12 and 2 to 4 to the courthouse, and lawyers like me will sit up and walk you through and answer questions for you if you have questions. The LA County Bar Referral also has free consultations, and they'll refer you to low lono lawyers in the area. So just go down this list, and let me just remind you, none of you look like you would do this, but if you go anywhere and get free help, be considerate of the people who are willing to sacrifice their time and their energy. I've had so many of my colleagues stop doing pro bono help because of the treatment that we get from the community. If I get up on a Saturday and come somewhere and I hate it, I am not a morning person at all. I'm asleep right now. If I get up on a Saturday and I'm willing to come somewhere and help you do something, please show up on time. Please be courteous. If you ask me to do something that normally costs $5,000 and I'll offer to do it to you for $500, don't get mad at me because you went shopping and now you don't have the money to do what you need to do for you, and I'm willing to do something for you at an extreme discount. So many of my friends have stopped doing pro bono work because of how we are treated. You would be surprised. Then that puts more pressure on those of us who, now there's more people to help and less lawyers to do it. So just, y'all look like y'all are all cool. Which is be considerate of the people that are willing to help. You're going to need to tell me how much time, how close I am, how much time I have to go.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, so so let me just tell you guys real quick about how many lawyers are here. I'm the only one, but it's amazing. Usually I'm the only one, but people are always arguing with me about bankruptcy. My mom is the worst one. Mom, where did you go to law school? Okay, so let me just tell you how bankruptcy works. There's chapter 7. There's one that consumers file. Usually it's the chapter 7. Generally, a chapter 7 is for people who don't have houses or properties that they're trying to hold on to. Either your car is already paid for, your mortgage is current, you just have other debt. You have credit card bills, payday loans, old IRS stuff. You just have stuff, medical bills. I'm getting a lot of those. You just have a bunch of stuff. It's a little bit too much for you to handle. You want to do a simple step. Chapter 13 is if you're behind on some stuff and you need somebody to give you time to catch up, generally. The process is the same from the beginning. You go, you fill out the schedules and petitions. Sometimes it's 40 to 60 pages. If you don't have a lot of stuff, it may be 20-page petition. Go down to the courthouse. If you have a lawyer file for you, you don't have to go to the courthouse and file electronically. The filing fees are between $299 and $306. That's the court cost. The money goes straight to the court. 20 to 40 days later, you have what's called a 341 meeting of creditors. You go downtown. It's not at the courthouse. You go downtown, you meet with this guy behind the counter, and he asks you, did you read this? Is everything here true? Can I see your ID? Do you expect anybody to die in the next 6 months and leave you some money? Which is a crazy question. Do you owe anybody child support? That's it. It's that fast. Unless you lie, which I never had lied. It's that fast. It's that fast. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. The longest time is waiting for them to call your name. That's a chapter 7. If you do a chapter 13, after that meeting, there's a confirmation hearing, but unless something happens, only the attorney has to go. So in both of these, generally, most 99% of the clients never even have to go to court. It's not like what people think it is. So since I only have like 2 minutes left, I'm just going to hit the bankruptcy myth page.
Also, you have about 5 minutes for any question and answer.
No, I'm not going first.
Okay, well, this is 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to go down the bankruptcy myth one and just counter some of the myths that people who don't know much about bankruptcy think. There's a rapper, I never forgot this portion of the song, EMX said, if you think you know, then I don't think you know. And I think about that all the time. When I'm listening to people who are more accomplished than I am, I very often hear them say, this is what I think. Like they realize that you can't know everything. And the people that I go to, I think this, I think that. People who don't know a whole lot of stuff are always willing to argue with you because they are adamant about and be dead wrong. Like, Number 1 bankruptcy myth, they are going to take all my stuff. 9 times out of 10, they don't want your little raggedy stuff. Schedule C, you have to list all your personal property, and then you go to a lawyer, and I apply all the laws that says that you can keep all your stuff. And every state exemptions are different. But you're all, what I tell people is consider a big pot. And the government says you can put as much stuff as you can in this pot. And then everything else, you may still be able to keep it. You might just have to pay a little bit for the privilege of being able to keep it. But you're allowed to have a house. You're allowed to have a car. In California, you can have $7,000 worth of jewelry automatically. It's stuff that we don't know. Like, oh, I gotta, there was a lady, they arrested her because she said that she didn't have any jewelry, bankruptcy fraud, and then she showed up at her 341 meeting with a $10,000 ring on and all this bling bling, and she didn't exempt any of it. She didn't mention it to her lawyer, so her lawyer I can't protect you if I don't know about it. And they got her for bankruptcy fraud. And she didn't even have to do any of that. All she had to do was go get an appraiser, let you know how much it costs, and I can apply the exemptions right, whatever. So very seldom does anyone lose anything. There used to be an MC Hammer commercial where they came to his house and they started taking stuff off the walls. That almost never happens. Well, if you have a Lamborghini and a Mercedes and a BMW and a townhouse and a beach house and a vacation house, you might have to work some of that. If you're a normal person with 2 cars and a house and normal people clothes and normal people jewelry, you're going to be okay. You just need to have competent counsel to strategize and apply your exemptions right. And sometimes you get a little close. You got 4 TVs, so I might apply half of your credit to one TV and half to another TV because it's only going to leave $200 left, and she's not going to go sell something and then take the 10% from the strategy. There's a way to do it, and there's a way to keep everything. So that's the repel myth number 1. Oh, and okay, so stuff is automatically exempt. In California, you get $75,000 to $175,000 worth of equity in your house. So you can have equity in your house, and it goes up if you're a senior and if you're disabled. You can keep more and more of the equity of your house and still file bankruptcy. The jewelry, your retirement account, all this stuff is exempt, and we don't know that, so we don't utilize bankruptcy the way we should. Bankruptcy can't help me. That's the biggest myth. Bankruptcy stops everything. Everything? Everything. If they're going to sell your house at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and I file your bankruptcy at 10:59, they have to stop the foreclosure. If you are being sued and you're on your way to court and the judge calls your case and I call them and tell them that you filed bankruptcy, they have to calendar your case. They have to hold it. If the repo guy is in your driveway and the tow truck, when you hear that, you better make sure that your bankruptcy was filed before he attaches you. You better run out the house and show him your bankruptcy paper, and it has to bankruptcy stop everything. Now, it may not be able to stop it permanently, but a lot of times it gives people time to breathe. It gives people room to breathe. It gives you room to refinance, move some stuff around. 30, 60, 90 days, a year, 3 to 5 years if you're in Chapter 13. So there's almost no one that bankruptcy cannot help. That's it, right? That's a double negative. Stretch that from the video. Can't discharge IRS debt. This is the biggest thing that people don't know. Everybody always thinks that you can't get rid of IRS debt. It was an absolute policy. I just knocked $47,000 off this guy IRS debt, and they now owe him $6,000. And I was like, if I get this money back for you, you owe me a tip. He promised me a tip. I don't think I'm gonna get it. You know how people are. If your taxes were due more than 3 years ago, and you filed it more than 2 years ago, and you haven't had a new offer and compromise in the last 6 months with the IRS, you get rid of your debt. And a lot of people have accumulated debt from the 2004, 2005. A lady came in last week and garnishing her wages, and she works with post office making like $600 a month out of her check. Hey, she's eligible for discharge. We need y'all to stop this right now. It can't be done. The only thing, and we're working on it, I'm down in Congress, I'm in D.C. lobbying Congress almost every year. The only thing you cannot do is student loans. And even those are workable. In the Chapter 13, you have to pay into a plan. Your extra income, after they take out your allowance for recreation, tithing, hygiene, transportation, your rent, after they take out all of that in a Chapter 13, you're supposed to give what's left to the trustee. If I put your student loans in the plan, then you're paying something that you would have had to pay anyway. 1, 2, there's now like 5 different student loan plans. I love these. We do income-based repayment plans for student loans, and it's based, and I'm sorry, now I'm doing student loans, but this is so exciting. It's now based on your income. If you know how to do it right, it's based on your income. And depending on what your income is, I've had people whose payment is zero. And they get this long contract. You must pay $0, or you must pay $0 by this date. And if you miss your $0 payment, you will be in default. And I tell them, you make sure you send them that $0 every month. And at the end of 25 years, it all gets discharged. But no matter what, yes. It's income-based repayment. Some people call a lawyer. It's like, we're awesome. It's a matter of how to get it and what to do, but it's available for everybody. It's called IVR. You guys can, if you have some loans, you can call on your own. It's called income-based repayment plan. They may make you jump through hoops and stuff, but it's there and it's available for everyone. Now, what you have to do is recertify every year, and then after 3 years, maybe every 3 years or something. You do have to update by sending in your taxes. And if you're unemployed, you're paying $0. If you're making a little bit of money, it may go up to 25, 50, 100, whatever it is, even as it goes up every year. At the end of 25 years, it all goes away. Just make that zero payment. Don't miss that payment. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up with bankruptcy permanently ruins credit. Are you coming to kick me out already? I'm sorry. The credit thing, okay, how can I explain this quickly? Most people who are filing bankruptcy already have some credit issues. And if you go on, I think it's Michael.com, they'll tell you, or just Google how does bankruptcy versus foreclosure affect your credit. If you're missing payments every month, somebody is eating your credit every month. You losing 10, 20, 30 every month, every single month. You file bankruptcy, it's going to hit you 160, 180, one time, period. That's it. It hits you one time. you're probably already losing 100, you're probably already losing that anyway over this span of time. One, it hits you one time and it's done. Two, you're now debt free. So when they calculate your FICO score, you don't have $100,000, $50,000 worth of debt that's also bringing your score down, and Target and Walmart aren't hitting you 10, 20 points every month or 2 or 3 times a quarter. So you get hit, and then that's it. My clients get cars within 30 days of filing bankruptcy, houses within 2.5 years, 2 to 3 years, probably more accurate. So I ask them, when they say, oh, I want to buy a house, I can't file bankruptcy, can you buy a house now? Are you going to be able to buy a house in 2 years? Are you going to pay off that $50,000 debt and be able to buy a house in 2 years? No. Well, if you file bankruptcy, it's pretty much guaranteed. As long as you don't go back and run up all your bills and everything again. So when we talk about I don't want to file because of what it's doing on my credit, what is it going to do to your credit if you don't file? Right. And I had a lady call me and she didn't want to, well, her son told her not to file. So I asked her, what's your son going to law school? Anyway, I said, look at your credit card statement and tell me how long it says it's going to take you to pay it off if you pay the monthly minimum. And you guys are supposed to, all your credit card statements are supposed to tell you now at the top how long. 27 years. Wow. She was like, it says 27 years. Oh, yeah, go ahead, wait. Don't file bankruptcy. Go ahead, call me back in 27 years, let me know how to, what? Wait, what? File this bankruptcy, get this over with so you can rebuild. So in 2 years, you're fresh. And I've had people who, I tried to get them to do it before, and then they call me 2 years later, and they're still saddled with the same debt. Or it's worse. Okay, in parting, I'm done. We tell one little short story about Miss Parker. Miss Parker told me I could tell y'all her story. I love Miss Parker. Miss Parker's the same one that it took us 3 years. Her case is very typical of a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. One, and the other, oh, you can see it on here. Cram down is a word that lawyers love in bankruptcy. You can cram down property. In bankruptcy, you don't have to pay more for something than it's worth. Period. Which is awesome. If you bought a computer from Best Buy a year ago, you paid $3,000 for this whole fabulous setup, and then I go on Craigslist, I find that whole setup on Craigslist for $250. That's how much you're going to pay for it in the bankruptcy. It doesn't matter how much you owe them. So Ms. Parker, you can do that with anything. 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 Except for your first mortgage. First mortgage and student loans are the only thing. But what you can do is if your house is underwater and you have a second loan or a home equity line of credit, you can strip it. Because there's no collateral securing the loan because your house is not worth enough to cover it. So now it's unsecured. So you can strip it. Your car, okay, so I'm sorry, Miss Parker. Parker was driving this Jaguar, and I told Miss Parker she needs to get rid of this Jaguar. Oh, I look good in my car. You gonna look good living in your car. So, she was paying 23.9% interest rate on this car. Her car note was $539 a month. So we got the appraisals, went on Kelly Blue Book and NADA, and got the guy to come out and check out the car. Car was worth $4,000. She would have ended up paying about $37,000 for this $4,000 car. So I found what's called a motion and value collateral, crammed down her car note and her interest rate. So I got the car valued at $4,250 and reduced her interest rate to 4.25. So if you call